Welcome, guys, to Halloween weekend. So, hope everyone is doing super great. This is just a quick costume. I know Halloween is on the 31 or 31st, but everyone's gonna be partying today, right? On Saturday. Hopefully, you can hear me through the mask. It's really difficult to talk. So yeah, I'm just gonna get this out of the way and cool little intro, right? I was trying to do something interesting there for you guys. It's a special weekend, so we gotta celebrate it special somehow, right? So today we're gonna continue with the little creatures or the nice creatures that we were working on during the weekend. So yeah, let's go. I was telling the boats, there were not a lot of boats, guys. I was expecting a little bit more comments to, make this dynamic a little bit more interesting. But some of you, or most of you, like 3 people, voted for the Invisible Man. So you guys want me to take this Invisible Man to the next level. And it's going to be quite a challenge due to one very specific reason. And that's the fact that there's not much to it, right? Definitely the scarf is something that it's not looking super nice. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete it. And I do like the bandages. So what I'm thinking about here is a good render is going to definitely help. It's going to be super important for the whole thing. And I want to show you some texturing techniques, okay? So I'm going to show you some very nice texturing techniques inside of Substance Painter and how we can bring this mesh that we have right here into Substance in a very cool way. So you've probably already seen the render on the thumbnail and are wondering, how the hell did Abraham, where's my pen? There we go. How the hell did Abraham converted that mesh all the way to that very nice render? And the first thing I'm going to do, and it's going to be super important, is I'm going to add a little bit more silhouette to the whole thing. So I'm going to use my Move Topological. You guys remember this one? We saw it yesterday. That allows me to move the bandages in like specific positions here, just to get a little bit more visual interest in the whole area. Like I really don't care that the bandages don't look as if they're like flowing into each other. That's not really important in this case, but I do want to have like those little variations in silhouette where certain areas are going a little bit further out and further in. That's the kind of thing that in the render is going to look really nice. So for instance here, like let's bring this shoulder up, this one as well. Let's bring this one. So see those little breaks. One cool thing you can do here is you can go into Zbrush and change this to flat color so that you can see the actual like little borders in your object. And those little borders are going to give us a very nice, again, visual interest. I call it visual interest. You can call it like details or just like general movement. And I'm going to make sure that we have something pretty much everywhere. Now, for instance, this little spike right here, I can definitely try and make it like go inside other areas so that it kind of looks like things are going like in and out of each other. I think that's definitely gonna be important. I am gonna give it a nice smooth pretty much everywhere. And now I actually want to push the silhouette of this object a little bit more in certain areas. So I'm going to use my clay buildup, but I'm going to change my brush to a round alpha. So this round alpha, as you can see here, will really push the silhouette. And again, it's going to allow me to have those sort of like details. For instance, like we can have one big line over there. And see how that one pushes the detail in a very nice way. All of that's going to live probably on the normal map, but it's definitely going to help sell the fact that this bandages are going over the character. And what I want to do is I want to texture this thing so that he looks pretty menacing. So maybe he's been I do want to make the bandages a little bit dirty. So I think that's it. I don't think I want to push the sculpture as much. I think I'm going to rely a little bit more in the texture work for this particular character. Here, for instance, I'm going to use my Move Topological. I'm a little bit out of breath after using the mask. You're going to have to excuse me for that. It's really difficult to breathe inside of that thing. So there we go. I have it's not a super nice Darth Vader suit, but I have the full costume. I used it once for a very nice event. And yeah, it was really fun. So there we go. Cool. Now, one of the cool things about this model, and one thing that's going to make it really easy to just create like a final piece, is that I can actually go to the lowest of division, which is this one right here. And as you can see, this is not bad at all. Like it's a fairly nice topology for the whole thing. It even has like the elements that I just sculpted in, and I think this is going to work perfectly. Of course, if we wanted to do something a little bit more optimized and stuff, we could definitely like go over it. But I think this is just gonna work like perfectly fine. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go to the highest of division, which is not that high actually. It's just 6,000 polygons, and I'm just gonna export this as is. So I'm gonna export, and I'm gonna call this it's not mummy, it's invisible man, and let's call this high, because this is gonna be my high poly. And then I'm gonna go all the way down, and I need UVs, because right now we don't have any UVs. So I'm gonna go C plugin, UV master, and right now I really don't want to like worry too much about UVs. We could of course go into Maya and do proper UV layout and stuff, but since this is supposed to be a concept piece, or we're gonna try to make this a concept piece, I want to keep it as simple as possible. So I'm gonna see if the unwrapping, the auto unwrapping, can handle the whole thing. It probably will take a while because it needs to like calculate all of the different islands. One of the cool things about the UV unwrap is that it detects each polygroup, and it will try to get one UV island per polygroup. So in theory, it should work. So I'm gonna pause the video real quick, make sure that this works nicely, and then we'll continue. So this is just gonna be a little jump for you right now. There we go. So it says that all of the islands have an UV unwrap. Let's see if that's true. We're gonna go all the way down here to the UV map, and we're gonna say morph UV. And yeah, I mean, it did a job. I wouldn't say it's the best job, but it works. I mean, it's completely flat. And I'm gonna use a technique inside of Substance that should make it fairly easy to texture in case we have any issues. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna export this thing as invisible man low. And we do need to make a quick stop inside of Maya or Blender. It could be any one of those. I'm gonna do Maya. I've been learning Blender the last couple of weeks, and it's a great program actually. It's really cool. So far, I haven't found anything that I can't do in Maya. There are a couple of things that I can do a little bit easier in Blender that I can do in Maya, but also there's things that I can do easier in Maya than I can do in Blender. So my advice to anyone thinking about like Blender or Maya, I mean, using both is perfectly fine. Grab one as your main tool, and then use the other one as a secondary tool, and you're gonna be golden. You're gonna be super versatile, because you're gonna be able to adapt very quickly from one to another. So I'm gonna go, of course, to our projects here, and in our assets folder, I have this mummy one, and we have the invisible man low. So let's bring him into Maya, which I'm already expecting him to be really small. By default, Zbrush has a really small scale. So I'm actually gonna show you something here that's important. So let's wait for this to... Okay, so it actually imported... This is a very common mistake, and it's super obnoxious for this to happen, but it kind of like splits your mesh into a lot of groups, as you can see right here. So that's a no bueno. So we're going to go into Zbrush, and we're going to go all the way down to export. Wait, is this not a Polymesh 3D? It should be Polymesh 3D. For some reason, it was not a Polymesh 3D. That's really weird. Huh. That's weird. Okay, I'm gonna export this as an FBX then. Maybe this will work better. There was an option. I mean, it's not the end of the world if we have this. The only thing is that you just need to like merge the vertices. Like I'll show you if we can do this. There we go. So invisible man, this one. So let's bring it into Maya, and let's see if it now respected what yeah. So now this is a single mesh, which is what I wanted. Let's go into the UVs and check the UV map. And yeah, as you can see, it's not bad. I mean, there's a little bit of distortion. There's a couple of cuts that are right in your face, like right there. But in general, things look fairly good. Like this is perfectly workable for like a concept piece, and the resolution is not that bad either. The only thing I want to do here is I want to make sure that this is mesh display and set to soften edge. That way the normals are not like hard polygons, and you can actually have a smooth transition everywhere. I'm definitely going to change this name to invisible man, and I'm going to add a new material here. Just a basic Lambert is fine. Let's delete history real quick to make sure that everything's clean. And I'm gonna call this m_invisible man, because we're gonna be working with this one inside of Substance. So I'm just gonna go File, Export Selection. We don't have the proper project. Let's set it up real quick. So there we go. That's one thing that I don't like about Blender. If someone knows about this and can tell me if there's like a Blender expert in the comments, I don't know why Blender doesn't have like a project where you can like organize your stuff. It seems like you just drop it anywhere you want. If that's the way to go, also just let me know, and I'm happy to understand and adjust. But I've been working with the Maya project like hierarchy for so long that not having something that actually has some sort of organization, it's very weird to me. So I'm just call it Invisible Man. So we're just gonna override it. Now let's jump into Substance Painter. This is gonna be a fast tutorial. Today we're just gonna focus on the textures, and tomorrow, well, I'm recording this on Friday. You guys know I usually record one day before the video releases. So tomorrow, there's gonna be some parties and stuff, so I'm not gonna be able to record. So I'm gonna be pre-recording the video for Sunday. Now, do not miss the Sunday video because at the end of it, I have a very nice announcement that I want to share, and it's about one of our upcoming courses and one thing that we actually need from you guys. So make sure to tune on Sunday because on Monday we're gonna just kick off with new videos and a new month, of course. So I'm gonna go File. I'm gonna say New, and I'm gonna select 4K. Let's go 4K. Let's go really big, and let's go to our projects here. There we go. Assets, and Mummy, and we have the Invisible Man. There we go. So OpenGL is fine because we're gonna be rendering this in Marmoset, and I'm just gonna hit OK. And this is what we should get. Perfect. That's very good. Now I'm only focusing on the bandages themselves because the glasses, we're just gonna use like traditional materials. So I don't think we're gonna need a lot of texture for the glasses actually. So I'm gonna go Texture Set Settings, and I'm gonna say Bake Mesh Maps. Super important that we bake the maps. Let's go 4K, and let's select our Invisible Man High. Open. And we just bake. I mean, there's no other. It says here that it's a UV tile, but we're actually not using UV, so we're just gonna bake as is. And let's see where we get. Now, I am seeing a couple of errors here and there. You can see those. It could be the UVs. It could be something else. Let's see how the general textures look at the end of the bakes. Look at the ambient occlusion. That one's gonna be super cool. Super cool. Yeah, that looks good. So even that tier right there, it's gonna be like a dark spot. I mean, for a concept piece, again, it's fine. We can, of course, clean up the geometry. It's the UVs. It's definitely the UVs that are causing that. So we could definitely clean them up, and fix it. But I think it might actually add to the whole texture. Now, cloth is one of those things that you definitely want to use procedural textures with. Because if you try to get like a picture from cloth from the internet, there usually is going to be a lot of noise and things are not going to tile perfectly. So you want to use like this sort of like procedural things right here. And I really like, I want to do like a bandage one. So I think I'm going to go for this fabric denim base. Denim, it's the pants, you know. In Spanish we call them mezclilla, but in English it's denim. So we definitely want to increase the scale here. And by increasing the scale, we're actually going to get like the proper like height that we want for the whole thing. Look at that. That's nice. So that's gonna give us. So yeah, you can see. Okay, so no, we do have some very bad spots like this guy's right here. That's horrible. It's gonna be like this spot. I don't care that much about. It looks fine. I mean, we can work with it. We can like mask it out with a little bit of dirt, but this is impossible to work with. So I'm gonna go into Maya here. And the first thing I'm gonna try is I'm gonna try to do an unfold with Maya because the Maya unfold is a little bit stronger or more like powerful than the Zbrush unfold. So let's give it a quick shot here with the unfold UVs. Let's see what we get. Okay, that's a little bit better. No, you can see that the problem here is that we're missing cuts. This piece right here, it's like just a mess. So it's this one right here. So I'm just gonna grab these faces, which are the ones that are distorting the most. You can see everything else is pretty much fine. Like even if we go into substance, the only piece that's problematic is that one right there, and it's because it's a very complex shape. So Unfold doesn't really know how to work with it, but we do know how to work with it, right? So we're gonna be changing it. So let's go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say click here. I'm gonna go UVs, 3D cut and sew UVs, and let's see. So the problem here is that this loop right here seems to be complete. Actually, I'm tempted to just like extract this because I really don't see how this is. Okay, so it does seem okay. It's this outer circle that's the problem. So I'm gonna go to like any edge right here on the inside, like that one right there, and I'm just gonna double click. There we go. So that should cut like a full loop around. And then let's add like
Like that cut right there was doing a good job, but then it suddenly like stopped. That one right there. Oh no, it's actually going through it. Ah, that's weird. So where is the problem then? So that's a nice shape. Could it be this inner one right here? No, that is also giving... Okay, maybe one right here. It should change color. If the islands get separated, you should get like a different color. So I'm just gonna add some random cuts in different areas where I would expect the flow topology to be a little bit better. Let's try again. I'm just gonna use this UV shell, or all of these UV shells, and say it's Control U is the shortcut, which is the unfold option. Let's see if that unfolds. Okay, that unfolded quite nicely. Now there we go. Look at that. So now that's a like complete piece. You can see that there's no more distortion. There's a little bit of distortion on this area right here, which, as you can see, it's this one right here. So here's where I would definitely go into like individual edges, like that one right there, and using the little thing here, I would just go cut and cut the UV, and then for instance, let's see, like here's where you're gonna, like, as long as you see the whole thing, that means that you still have things to cut, like this loop right here. Let's just cut it. There we go. So now that's a split element. And just to relax this a little bit more, let's grab this line right here and cut it as well. There we go. So now, if my calculations are correct, I should be able to again unfold. Now this area right here that's looking a little bit problematic, it should unfold a little bit better. Now, do not take this this particular example, this particular concept as the way that you should always do UVs, because this is a very like fast way to do them. And that's usually not the way to do it. I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, I was using UDIMs. So I'm going to go into modify a layout, and I'm going to get rid of my UDIMs so that everything packs in a single map. There we go. So as you can see, we have this. And one cool thing here is that I tried to map all of them in a vertical way. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work on the actual object that we bake to, but it should work fairly nice. I'm gonna export this guy again, go into Substance, go Edit, Project Configuration, check or re-import the new layout. You're probably gonna see that the UV changes slightly, and if it doesn't, you can change with F2 or F1. So it didn't change, so I'm gonna say Edit. Let's just start a new file. So New, select the Invisible Man, okay, discard, and we should see the new UV in just a second. Let's see if is it working? Did we export though? We did export, right? File, new, select, Invisible Man, okay, discard. Loading failed. Okay, there's like an error or something. Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna go Mesh Display, unlock normals first, and then Mesh Display, soften edge. Like I don't think we have an angle or anything, but one thing to be safe, we can just say mesh and triangulate everything. This is going to be a little bit difficult to read, of course, but it shouldn't matter on the overall like element. And I'm going to say File, Export Selection. Let's export this again as the Invisible Man. Okay, it seems to be exporting right, so I'm going to say File, New. Let's select again our Invisible Man, and let's hit OK. Discard. Loading fail. What does it say? It says errors have been found while splitting the meshes per UV tile mesh. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what's happening. So it's one of the options. So file, or it seems like this guy might be going over like more tiles. Yeah, see how that one's going a little bit over the tiles? That's one error. So I'm just gonna shrink the UV maps a little bit to make sure that they're not going outside of the 1 to 0 area. That's super important. I have 4 golden rules for UVs. One is that do not go outside of the box. The second is no 2 islands should be overlapping. The third one is all of the elements should have the same resolution. Like you don't want one part of the mesh to be higher resolution than other parts. And the fourth is use as much space as possible. Try not to waste any space on your UV map. So I was breaking one of the rules, which is try to make sure that things are not outside of the 1 to 0 square. So now we should be able to import this. I still have the UV thing selected, so I'm going to be working in UDIMs, even though we don't have UDIMs. But now everything should be working fine. So I'm just going to drop the denim here and look at that. Now, as you can see, if we increase... Actually, I don't like the denim. I think I like this one better. The fabric suit. And let's increase the scale. Yeah, that's way better. So let's say scale of 10, I think it's good. I think it has a nice like size to the cloth overall. But the problem is, and you can see it here, that we're getting this seams, of course. So the way to fix this is just changing the UV projection to triplanar projection. And what that's going to do, as you can see, it's just going to like bloop, place everything as if it were projecting like 3 different images. You are going to have a little bit of a blend on the sides here, but it should be fairly easy to kind of hide. So I do like the color. I think I am going to rotate this thing a little bit because the rotation right now is like too even. So I'm going to go for like this sort of like crisscross thing. There we go. So it kind of follows like the curvature of most of the bandages. And there we go. Now, I do want to use a little bit of displacement inside of Marmoset. So we are going to be using the height information when we export the whole thing. So if we go into the channels here and we go into the height channel, where is it? Height. Right now, we don't have any height information. So we definitely need to add one. And there's one very cool thing here inside of Substance where we can actually preview height information. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to turn on the height information. And if I go to my letter C now, I should have, well, this particular element does not have any height information, but we can create a fill layer with height information. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to add a fill layer, and I'm going to remove everything but the height information. So we're going to have height, and we're going to mask this out, and I'm going to use a fill with a cloth texture. I think it's called textile or woven. There is one that gives me this sort of like cloth effect. Where is it? Fabric. Is this fabric? But I don't like that fabric. So let's go for like a more traditional like bandage fabric. Like this, like fibers. I think that might work. So let's try fibers. I'm gonna go to my height and let's push the height up. So that we can see what's going on here. And right now we're not seeing anything, of course, but if we go back to the fibers here and we increase the scale, there we go. See that? We should be able to see the whole thing. We're also going to change this to triplanar projection so that it's projecting everywhere. And let's play around with the scale until we get the scale that we want. So it's going to be something like that. Now here's where the fun's going to start. I'm going to go into the height section, into the height material, and I'm going to reduce the height a little bit because I don't want as much height. Just gonna push a little bit, but right now we're not seeing any height. It's just like a normal. It's just like a fake height. But if I go here into the shader parameters, we can actually go into displacement and tessellation, and we can increase the scale of the displacement. See how we're displacing the whole thing, and the scale is gonna see how much like how high or how hard the displacement is going to be pushing. So I'm going to go quite high, but I definitely need to subdivide this a couple more times. And there's different types of things that we can do. Uniform is fine. And if we just divide this a couple more times, you can see how we are actually now getting like this sort of like very nice like triangulation effect where it actually looks like the bandage is pushing out. Now here definitely like 0.05 might be a little bit too much. So let's do like 0.01. And immediately that's going to change the silhouette a little bit, and it should give us a little bit of a more natural look to the whole thing. Now, this is something that you can enable and disable, so we can just like disable it for now, and later on we'll have the rest of the effects. So let's add just a very basic texturing pattern here. I'm actually going to go here into the height, and I think it's a little bit too much, so let's bring this down as well. There we go. So even if we're using fake height, I still want something there. And we're going to use our traditional like dirt technique. So I'm going to use a rust fine. I'm going to add a black mask. I'm going to right click, add a black mask. Oh, we already have it, sorry. And we're going to add a generator. And it's going to be our typical dirt generator, which is just going to give us some dirt pretty much everywhere. I do think we forgot to bake the maps, so that's important. Let's do 4K. Remember, the reason why we need to do this bake is so that the generators inside of Substance know where things are, where the crevices and the upper points and lower points are, so that we can get a very nice result. So yeah, it's just doing the whole thing. We're already 24 minutes in. Damn, this is a little bit of a lengthy tutorial. I'm gonna try to keep it short. I'm just gonna add like a couple more layers to our visual interest, and we'll talk about exporting and setting up the render tomorrow. Okay, so make sure to tune in, because again, we're gonna have some very nice news at the end of tomorrow's video. So let's just wait for this thing to finish. Usually, ambient occlusion, curvature, and thickness are the ones that take longer. Just that's the way it is. Those are the maps that have the most information, so that's usually where most times is used. And there we go. So now, as you can see, look at that. It kind of looks like a mummy right now. So I'm definitely going to go into my layers. I am going to go into my generator, and I'm going to remove the grunge. I don't want as much grunge. I just want a little bit of dirt inside of the elements. I'm going to change this to something like an overlay so that it gets darker. And I'm definitely going to bring this down. So something like this. There we go. So that way we don't have as much information. It's just a little bit of information that we want on the dirt here. I might want to increase the amount of dirt though. It just looks way nicer, right? To have a little bit of dirt here. I think this might be a little bit too much, and here's where I would definitely add like a paint layer and use like a dirt brush. Where is this? Like this, there spots, and just like hide a little bit of the dirt. Because I don't want to have like uniform dirt everywhere, so I'm just artistically picking where I don't want as much dirt. There we go. And I'm going to use a generator that I love to have, which is a light generator. So I'm going to add a black mask here. I am going to, this layer, by the way, is only going to be adding color to my object. And I'm going to go for like this sort of like warm light. It's going to be a little bit stylized, but I think it's going to look good. It's like a warm light. And then on this layer here, I'm going to use a generator, and it's going to be a light generator. There we go. And the light generator is one light generator that you can push and make sure that it only like shines on certain parts of your object. I'm gonna change like the highlight glossiness, maybe a little bit more light attenuation, so it's a little bit more on the top and less on the bottom. This is definitely gonna be on the beneath the dirt, and I like to use linear dodge for this one and just lower the intensity quite a bit. And as you can see, this is gonna, without having lights, like even if you don't have lights, if you're just in the color map, it's gonna like kind of push the lights a little bit more. So it's gonna, this effect where the sun will it would like decolorate things that are higher up, like flags and the ceilings of houses and stuff. The paint that's like further up will get more damaged by the sun, like bleached, than like the lower parts. And yeah, I think that's it. Like, we can of course go like super high on the textures here, but I think this is gonna work just fine. So I'm gonna stop the video right here, guys. Just a very basic like texture job that we can't do as easily inside of Zbrush, but thanks to the UV techniques and the materials inside of Zbrush, we're gonna be able to take this into Substance and create something very cool. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back tomorrow for our final video in this Halloween special week, where we're gonna be rendering and creating a very nice image for this guy. So I'll see you back tomorrow. Bye-bye.